Today we are going to cover how to grid, contour draw, and crosshatch using pen this beautiful little bunny. So what we're going to do is make this look as realistic or accurate as possible, and to do that we need a few tricks. One of them is called gridding. I'm a big fan. And the way it works is we want to have our larger sheet of paper. This is 11 by 7 or 12 by 18. We want it to be at 2-inch squares. And then the image itself that we draw from will be 1-inch squares. This will make it bigger. And you do this by drawing marks on each side of the paper 2 inches apart. And then putting your ruler down and drawing from side to side. I don't really need to elaborate too much on that, I hope. But it's a very simple, easy way to establish a picture plane just using grids. So after you make your marks on the sides, you draw in between them. Make sure you're using the ruler correctly. Rulers don't begin at the end, they begin on the inch. So make sure you're paying attention where that's coming from, and it'll make your life a lot easier. Or harder, I don't know how your life goes. So we have our grid drawn on there. We can go ahead and draw on the smaller picture. This one's just a little bunny hanging out in the plains, you know how bunnies do. And what you're going to do is you need to make 1 inch, okay, 1 inch squares. So I have my ruler here. I'm only measuring the picture of the animal, and I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4. Since it is 5 inches across, I only need to make 4 marks. Right, that maths. I think that maths. Same thing on the other side. I'm measuring 4 inches, or 4-inch marks across. Ultimately, our image is going to be 5 by 7 squares. And the nice thing about this is using the same method, you can take this image that's 5 by 7 inches and but 5 by 7 squares is the important part, and you can magnify this and put it up on the side of a building. Do 1 foot by 1 foot, something like that. Might be easier to do 10 inches, but same idea still applies. It just needs to be relative to it, right? Relative. So once you got all that marked down, I want you to go ahead and make yourself a little game of Battleship. So 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Haha. We all know our alphabet. And we do that so that way we can transfer each box as we go. So I put like E3. This is very light. You have to draw really light. So if you're like, hey, why is this so light? I can't see it. It's like, well, that's the whole purpose of it, is it needs to be light. But I put all those letters and numbers down in there to make it easier for me to know where I'm drawing. And then I'm going ahead and taking an inch off the side, because I ultimately need a 5 by 7, right? So I can just get rid of those extra parts. We're going to use those for practice, don't you worry. I don't know why you would worry. I know you pretty well. You don't seem like the type to worry. So with contour drawing, it's our old friend, right? Nothing's really changed. So we need to work on outlining details. Remember, we're just working with mass and shape. We're not really worried about volume or anything like that. That'll come whenever we do the hatching, that sort of thing later. So for right now, you can just focus on doing simple outlines. And one thing that really helps is to just go for it. You're probably going to screw up the eye, but whatever, it's fine. Start there, start anywhere. But the idea with gridding is very simple. We do the 1-inch boxes on the left, we got the 2-inch boxes on the right, and where things intersect on the smaller piece of paper, we need to draw them on the larger piece of paper. So we can deal with each grid as we go. And obviously, it sounds really simple, and that's because it is. I learned this when I was in middle school, and oh boy, it was a great revelation for me. I was just drawing portraits all the time. I went from being able to draw nothing very well to being able to draw really whatever I wanted. Over time, I found that I didn't need to grid anymore because I learned about proportion and things like that from this. But with this, you're drawing where things intersect. You can draw on the picture of the animal if you need to. That's totally fine. You can erase if you need to. We're drawing it really light. Ultimately, this is going to be done with pens, so it doesn't totally matter. And yeah, just go for it. Just try not to draw very dark. Think about what's important. I had a good time drawing the dewlap there on the bunny, which is a phrase I learned recently. And then the most important thing you can do is put yourself into fast forward mode, because this can be a bit arduous. So draw all the way around. I'm focusing on slight details, things that stick out. If there's areas of black, I'll probably just fill those in with my pencil lightly, because I'll know to be able to do it with a pen later. Basically, whatever you draw with the pencil is just going to help you with pen in the end, all right? So make it as easy on yourself as possible. That bunny's super awesome. I will say you don't necessarily have to put in a background, but you can, especially if there's like a leaf in front of it. You probably want to draw that leaf. But one thing that's really important is to just take it easy, all right? All right, now it's time to stop taking it easy. This is with cross-hatching. I'm just kidding, it's all easy. So first, let's talk a little bit about cross-hatching in general. So when we're dealing with value, especially using line, we need to talk about what we're doing. So when you're drawing a round object, which most of the things you're going to be drawing in this are round, you need to think about where the sun comes from, and think about what cross contour of how the shapes work. We can do this in several ways. One thing that really makes it easy is to deal with the hatched lines in a way that treat the form as being three-dimensional. As we can draw the lines just straight as much as we want, it's really not going to show off too much. But when we start thinking about the 6 levels of light and how they intersect with each other, we can start to realize what's really going on, what we really want out of this. And then we want something to look pretty realistic, you know? And you do this through these different levels. I recommend making a gradient, but who am I to judge other than a teacher? So with this, we are figuring out how we're going to lay down layers of light, right? And we do that through controlling darkness. So it might help to have something like this so you can understand it a little bit better. And you can see here on this pipe, what a weird thing to draw, a cylinder. The lines curve with the object. So a few things you're going to need: a pen, a pen, a pen. Find one pen that you really like. It's a good friend of yours. And then you're going to need an eraser, because you got to get rid of everything that's bad in your life. So with the pen, you are going to find that you have to work a little bit slower than you think. You need to really take your time with things. Here I am, it appears like an illusion that I'm working just on the outline first, but I'm really not. I'm making tiny lines that all connect together. The reason I'm doing this is there's no real harsh lines that exist in nature, especially in animals. So everything's going to have kind of like a little give to it, a little gradient to it. And you can do that by not like just drawing a straight line down. Everything's like little marks. And you might go, hey, K-Dog, to which, again, do not call me that, please. Hey, K-Dog, I need to draw a straight line. I can't. Well, please don't. Do something else, all right? Because if you feel like this is going to be easy, it is, but it's almost like a practice in meditation and patience. I genuinely believe by the end of this project, you're going to make about 10,000 lines, 10,000 marks. And that's not something to scare you. It's something to prepare you so you know what you're getting into. This project in drawing with pen is all about patience. So you can see here as I'm drawing, I'm using the pen in a way to build up layers of light. So I start light, making a few marks, and then I can go back over those same areas with some darker marks. I mean, look how Rembrandt did it. He was great. So with this now, I'm working on getting some of those tighter, harsher darker areas in first, because maybe I get tired of doing something. Because that's important. You can move on. No one's telling you exactly where you have to draw. You can move on to something else. I don't really care. But you're just going to keep making tiny marks, and eventually it'll be over. I find this very rewarding in this Zen-like patience and meditative state of just sitting, repeatedly making marks over and over. It's fascinating. So here you can see how I'm making my lines. I'm kind of making them slightly curved because rabbit fur is curved. Look at what you're drawing. If you're drawing, like, I don't know, a frog, you're probably not going to do these same type of lines. Maybe circles or curved marks would make sense. But for a rabbit, it makes way more sense for me to just kind of put layer upon layer of curved line. One other thing I'm doing that might be a little frustrating is I'm kind of drawing square by square. You actually don't want to do that. I got lucky. I caught myself early enough in this that it made sense, because doing the pen square by square will make it look like a box at the end, and it's just kind of strange. All right, so yeah, just there you go. Whatever, draw the rest of the bunny. All right, I finished up the back of the bunny, always taking a second every now and then to take a step back and take a look at it, you know. With the ears here, they're a lot more delicate, so you have to be very decisive with the lines that I put down. Everything is going to make a mark. I really want to pay attention to those areas. It can be very frustrating. You can go dark too quick, and everything else has to kind of just slide with it, all right? So think about that. Don't make a mark you'll regret. I don't know what that means. All right, so with the background, I just put in a background. I'm using the pen in different ways, kind of just like making a bunch of marks, and you know, go for it. Your background, you can leave it blank if you really want to. I'm not going to judge you. One year I made them put like polka dots in. I don't know why. I was like, you got to put a pattern or something back there, and like mainly everybody said polka dots. Or like checkers. Mainly, probably because they couldn't erase their grid marks very well. But yeah, with this, I'm doing different things with the pen, seeing what happens. And when you're done, you got yourself a little bunny. Or shark, or lion, or horse. See you later.